Welcome back to the Big 1-2 here on 365 Sports. Paul Catalina, Royden Ogletree, and Royden, TCU is undefeated right now.
Yep.
And the way their offense is playing, they got Kansas State this week. It's going to be a tough defensive struggle for them. I don't know if Kansas State can score with them, but I've been wrong before on Kansas State. See Oklahoma.
TCU's defense is a little bit better, but not that. They're not world beaters by any
No,
means.
and they're a team that's built around their offense.
Right.
They are. They make plays when they have to. Travius Hodges-Tomlinson is a really good player. They've got other really good players, but they're not built on their defense like Baylor was a year ago or Oklahoma State was a year ago. They're built on their offense.
Right.
Because that's what Sonny Dykes is. He's an offensive coach. But I wonder about the overall view of this league, which is good. It's a really good league. The Big 12 and the Pac-12 have the same problem. They have a lot of teams that are good, but they're going to beat up on each other and ultimately knock themselves out of the playoff.
They have no truly generationally great teams that's going to
No, and they have a problem in that, the committee seemingly wants to see, as much SEC and Big Ten spice in this 4 teams as they can get every year. And the Big Ten is now just getting to the point where they can throw a second team in there reasonably if Ohio State and Michigan are both undefeated at the end of the year when they play each other.
Right.
They could have the same scenario as Tennessee and Georgia would right now, or Alabama does every single year when they get a mulligan for losing in the middle of the year.
Hey, that is the biggest thing. Lose in the middle of the year, that doesn't matter.
For Alabama, it doesn't. For most everybody else, it does.
For Oklahoma State, it definitely will.
For Oklahoma State can go on a just tear ass through the rest of the league. But you lost in the middle of the year to a team that you might have to beat a second time,
right?
Play a second time and win, and it doesn't negate it, right? Because that's how these things are these biases are built in. But the problem the Big 12 and the Pac-12 have, we'll keep it to the Big 12 for this, is Clemson just came through their toughest 3-game stretch undefeated. Now they have to play an undefeated Syracuse team this week, which I think they will dispatch.
Oh, no, undefeated Syracuse.
But once they do that, their schedule is done with teams that are scary.
Yeah.
And Syracuse, I'm not saying is scary, but they're undefeated.
They've been playing well. I ho-hum that, but it's you look at Syracuse. And
Syracuse's toughest stretch is right now. Starts now and goes. It should have started last week, but Devin Leary's not there for NC State, and they lost that game. Clemson goes undefeated. They're getting in. They're a classical power. So, anybody goes undefeated in the Power 5, they're getting in. So Clemson right now is darting towards not losing. Because I don't see, they're not classic Clemson, but they're not far off.
Right. The only way that a Big 12 team gets in is if TCU goes undefeated.
Yeah. That's it.
At this point. Granted, we always get to the end of the year and lo and behold, somebody has, will blow somebody's doors off in a championship game in Oklahoma State or whoever. Texas, even at this point, could get there and just, Texas has 2 losses. I don't think they would be in regardless, but we always get to the point that where a 1-loss team, take Ohio State several years ago, will just absolutely kick someone's teeth in. And then that is front and center to the committee who has recency bias galore. And so that kind of will propel different teams in different directions. That could very well happen. I just feel the only way that a for sure lock would be TCU going undefeated.
Now, if Texas runs the table all the way out, they will get the Alabama mulligan, and they could be in there with 2 losses.
That would be
in the CFP?
Yes, I will say it, because
you want to see people lose their collective mind.
But Texas and Alabama, Alabama's been able to wear their amulet all the time. Texas has the amulet in the closet that they can wear because they can have a mulligan too.
Breaking case of emergency
they
amulet.
But they have not been able to, legally open the door. But if they run the table out, they already have their mulligan. And people will forget about Tech when it comes to Texas. They'll forget about it.
They might forget about it, but there's at least 4 teams that, with 1 loss, there's plenty of money that they can bring to the table. They are traditional powers. There's no incentive to put a two-loss Texas team in a CFP when you've got Alabama with 1 loss, undefeated Georgia, undefeated Clemson, undefeated Ohio State and Michigan. There's too many teams that are traditional powers ahead of Texas right now.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that, but like there's part of me.
The cynic in you is like, watch and find out. Yeah.
Nobody, like, if Clemson goes on a 5-year drought of not being in a thing, and then all of a sudden they go up, nobody's going to be dancing the street that, oh, God, Clemson's back. Thank God. Thank God that our long nightmare of Clemson not being is over.
Is over.
But every time Texas shows a little bit of juice, the world outside of this state and Austin, Texas, loses its mind about it. Like, just let him get there, man. Just let him get there.
You need to frame that quote and send it to Austin.
Just let him get there.
Just let him get there. You've been saying that. You've been preaching that for.
Do you know who
weeks.
agrees with me? Most of the people in Austin. Most of them do. The reasonable people that wear burnt orange are just like, can you just let us get there? We want it, but just let us get there. But the rest of the world's like, no, you have to be good.
In this, the Big 12 is a microcosm of sort of why you need that playoff expansion. If not for money, just that several really good teams. Now, I don't think that Oklahoma State, TCU, like they're not on the level of, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Like they're not on the level of Georgia, Ohio State, even Alabama, even though they've looked shaky. And we haven't even talked about Tennessee though, too, in all of this.
Yeah.
Even though they're not that great, they will cause havoc. And this whole industry, what we're doing here is all based on chaos. That is what college football sells itself on. NFL sells itself on steadiness, the best product that we can possibly put on the field. NCAA football for my entire life is so you want to see something funny happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, this kicker just kicked it into the back of somebody's head. You want to see like somebody light a field on fire? You want to see some people tear down the goalposts? That is what college football is based on. And the only thing that will continue to make that happen is if you let folks in Austin, Texas get their shot. You know what I mean? So that is my argument for why you should expand it. Now, granted, this year, this a mute point. It's not even going to happen. But they do have a problem as currently situated for the Big 12, Pac-12, and quite frankly, the ACC outside of Clemson.
If Clemson loses, the ACC can
shut out again. Yeah,
they're done. But I just don't see that happening. Now that could. I mean, they could brain lock and fall to somebody they shouldn't lose to. It's happened to them in the past.
They haven't looked like world beaters either. They have wanted to lose a couple of these games.
They have not looked like world beaters, but I'll tell you, they do enough of the little things well to where, they would get maybe in the first round of the playoffs and play against Ohio State and get throttled.
They feel like Oklahoma of years past.
But
I've got a question. An undefeated TCU team or an undefeated Clemson team, which one gets that 4th spot?
Clemson.
What about an undefeated Syracuse?
What?
TCU.
TCU, yeah. That threw me for a loop. I didn't even think about that would even be a thing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to paint scenarios for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sports juice, enough of the Big J journalists have enough of the juice to get to sway Syracuse into
Jim
into
Brown,
the playoff.
man.
Look,
Jim Brown.
I do think that Alabama is going to lose again. They do too many things bad. Like that don't normally happen to Nick Saban teams. And Ole Miss is really good. I don't think they're going undefeated.
Mississippi State
can score a lot, although Kentucky shut their running game down the other day where they just stopped doing it. It was just like Leach was like, no, let's not do it. That's it. That's it.
I mean, Mike Leach throwing the football? What are we talking about?
But he runs the football a lot. He does. And, that's part of it is that, like, he gets you so off balance with quick pass, pass, that he'll run the ball 7 plays in a row, and you're like, wait, did he just do that? That's how it works there. All right, when we come back, we make our picks, and we preview this week, not necessarily in that order. This is the big one, too, brought to you by Shorty's Pizza Shack on 365 Sports.